everybody. I'm Tina from Teach the TK Way, and I want to welcome you back to the Natural Classroom Specialist video series where we are talking all about how to transform your space into a natural classroom. So last week we talked about what a natural classroom specialist is, who these educators are, how they can help children, kind of an overview. And this week we're going to get into kind of some of the nitty-gritty of how to do that, one small piece at a time. So I am here to help educators like you create naturally inspired spaces. And again, we want to do it with these actionable plans. I don't want to send you off and not give you some sort of actual plan as to how you can get there with your natural space. So I want to ask you first, did you take the quiz last week? Did you find out what type of natural classroom teacher you actually are? Are you a vibrant teacher? Are you a hodgepodge teacher like me? What teacher did you connect with? And did you grab the graphic and share it on social media? We want to go ahead and follow along with everybody's journey. And so go ahead and grab those graphics and share them to social media. And don't forget to tag me and the Natural Classroom Specialist hashtag. So this week, I know everybody wants to get into the fun and exciting pieces of changing up your space into a natural classroom, but we have to do a little bit of work first. So this week is all about spring cleaning, decluttering that space. We're going to talk about how to go ahead and get that done because again, I don't want you guys spending a lot of time on this. This is something that has to be done before we bring anything else into the classroom, and it kind of sets the stage and foundation for learning the tone. So we will get into plants and colors and lighting and all of that, but this week we're going to talk about decluttering. So the first place that I want you to declutter is the obvious spots, your teacher desk, countertops, those types of things. Now, when I'm talking about your teacher desk, I'm actually talking about all those extra mugs that you are hanging on to. Let's go ahead and take those home, wash them. Now's a good time to be washing and sanitizing everything anyway. Pens. If you are like me, you have a million Flair pens. But ask yourself, do I really need all of these in the classroom? Is it something I use in the classroom? Or is it something that I use when I'm planning and creating at home or in a different area? If it is, I want you to go ahead and clean them out, throw out the ones that don't work. These types of cluttered spaces actually detract from our own well-being and our own kind of zen feeling. So I want you to clean them out. I love Flair pens. Like I said, all of mine were stored in like a container on my teacher desk. And what happens is I realize that I go back to the black Sharpie every single day. So I want you guys to make sure that you're being intentional about what you're using. So now my teacher desk just has a container of black Sharpies. And all my Flair pens and things are kept at home where I actually do all of my lesson planning and color coding and that sort of a thing. Teacher tip, if black Sharpies disappear, then put a yellow cap on them or an orange cap on them because most teachers won't take a yellow or an orange Sharpie. And if they don't know that the black one is hiding underneath there, you won't lose yours. While we're talking about decluttering that teacher desk, clean out your teacher bag. This is just a public service announcement. Clean out that teacher bag, spray it with some Lysol, clean it down. Throw away the papers that you don't need. Recycle the things that you thought you were going to work on, that you had every intention of working on, that you have every idea of working on. It's time to clean those out. Just taking them back and forth with you isn't helpful. It puts stress on us that we really don't need as educators. So it's time right now while we're decluttering our space to clean out our teacher bags. Okay, so I know mine could use a really good scrub right about now. All right, once you've cleaned off those obvious spaces, countertops and things like that, where the visual clutter is kind of congregating, then I want you to go into the less obvious spots. I want you to clean out your library. recycle books, replenish books, put some new life into that space. So we have a book hospital. I teach 4-year-olds turning 5, so older 4s, young 5-year-olds. And so we have a book hospital because things get torn and broken. And so my students know that they can take any book from our library and put it into our book hospital, which is just a basket with a fancy sign on it that says book hospital. And what I will do is once a week, I will sit down and I will actually tape them all up and go through them and take out anything that just can't be salvaged. And then those things that can be, I just go ahead and add those back into the library space. So clean out your libraries at this time, figure out storage, find a better way. It's just time to kind of give it a good revamping at this point. The other thing is manipulatives. I know things just get cluttered and we just start adding new on top of the old. And so what I want you to do is take about half of those manipulatives, put them into storage. Wherever your storage space is, just take them off of the shelves, because what happens, like when your child is cleaning out their room and they find their, long lost toy that they couldn't live without, same thing happens in the classroom. When we take away some of that clutter and give items room to breathe on the shelves, then the students actually become more interested in the items that we already have. So I take this time of year where I take everything out, I only put about half of it back, and I really start to watch the students. If they're not paying attention, they're not engaged with an activity, then I pull it out and put a little sticky note on it that they weren't really engaged, and I add something else new from storage, not new from the store. I'm not purchasing anything at this point. I'm just trying to get a feel of what the students are interacting with in my classroom. If you have puzzles that are, missing pieces, broken, need new storage options, that sort of a thing, now's the time to do it so that you have a cleaner, more organized space. Now, the other thing that we're going to talk about decluttering at this point is your walls, your visual overwhelm. So I want you to ask yourself, have I referenced the anchor chart on the wall in the last week? Have I referenced it in the last month? If the answer to these things is no, then take them down, store them somewhere, put them on the back of a door, just move them out of the visual space for the children and create kind of a blank canvas on the walls. So I know that I have an ABC chart that we reference daily. I'm not taking that down. The children use it every single day. There's an alphabet 1 and a number 1, and they use both of them on the daily basis. But certain posters and things that we have in the classroom, life cycle of a pumpkin does not need to be up any longer. Life cycle of a sunflower doesn't need to be up any longer because we've actually moved on to insects, praying mantis, butterflies, spring type items. So I'm going to put away the old anchor charts and bring out new ones, or just leave the walls bare for right now and let student artwork be what I focus on. Now, again, if it's something that you are referencing regularly, I would say weekly. If you are referencing it weekly, then you can go ahead and leave it up. But if it is not a weekly reference item, put it away for a little bit and see what happens. Now, another little teacher tip, before you put it away, I want you to take a photograph of it. And in a week or so, I'm going to share with you what we're doing with all of these photographs, but take a picture of it, so that you can see the full amount of it, and just kind of store that photo somewhere. And then put the anchor charts, like I said, on the back of a wall, recycle them if there's something you don't think you'll ever come back to again. The last kind of less obvious spot that we're going to declutter is your files. If you are like me, you have physical filing cabinets, and those physical filing cabinets are stuffed with things. I mean, just stuffed with papers, because I've moved to a digital world. And so what I want you to do is go through, if it's a physical filing cabinet, go through it, clean out as much as you can. And when you're doing that, save one master copy. As you're going through and you're counting, if you have a class set of anything, then go ahead and pull it out. Decide, am I going to include this in my curriculum in the next month? If you are, pull it out, put it somewhere that you will remember it. If you are not, go ahead and recycle it. We don't need to be storing papers and old items for a year from now. We just don't. It's time to recycle some of these things. In my previous program, we were in the middle of a like farmland, and so we would end up with critters, mice, rats, squirrels, chipmunks, those types of things. And so the filing cabinet, the paper was just attracting all of those kind of, creepy crawlies into our space. So it's time to clean it out. Now, the other thing is the digital filing cabinet. The downloads. Oh my gosh, I have so many downloads, free downloads. It's grab my free this, grab my free that, and you download it. It's time. I want you to take some time to clean it out. Clean out the downloads. If it's something you're really going to use, either print a physical hard copy of it or store it in a digital file so that you know where to find it again. But it's time to kind of clean out some of those digital spaces, because what's happening is we are overwhelming ourselves just by the sheer clutter of things that we have, because as teachers, we tend to hoard. Yes, I said it. We are hoarders because we may use it. We feel bad throwing anything away because we might use it at some point. And that is true for a lot of things. But when you're starting this process, I want you to kind of have a blank slate. Start with a blank slate. So once you've decluttered, we're going to go ahead and organize. We're going to use some paper trays. We're going to get some pen holders, some baskets, some bins. Do not buy anything. You're going to reuse and repurpose what you currently have, because we haven't really kind of decided on what this space is going to look like. So we're just organizing what we currently have. And storage bins. Now, I have a storage space in my classroom. It's an old cloakroom. I'm in a Catholic school, and so it's an old cloakroom that we've turned into kind of a storage area. And so all of my themed units, all of my kind of activities that I use, those are all stored in there. They are stored in plastic bins. The reason they are stored in plastic bins is just to keep any mice, dust, those sorts of things out of all of that storage area for me. So water, that kind of a thing. So that is all stored in plastic, but it's not where the children can see it. It's just for me. Then I want you to be intentional about the organizing and what you have. Do I need all of these things? So if you've been saving, paper towel rolls for the last 10 years, either use them in a project in the next 30 days or recycle them. This is my public service announcement to you. Don't hang on to them. Use them. I don't know why we store them. I don't know why we save them for the perfect time. If you're missing 2 or 3, send a note, send an email out to parents and say, I'm missing 3 paper towel rolls for this project that I'd like to do. Can anybody donate them? So again, 30 days, you have to use it, or you need to recycle it at this point. And then you're going to take some zip ties, and you're going to take all of your cords and kind of electronic pieces, and you're going to zip tie them together, and you're just going to streamline the look of everything. That helps, again, with that clean slate. And then you can organize your files. You can organize them by theme, by season, by lessons. This is where I get stuck, because I want my students, when they're interested in space, I want to be able to quickly grab my space items. I don't want to have to be digging through everything and thinking, oh gosh, that's in my April bin, or I left that in my October spot. No. So now I store everything by theme, so that if the students are interested in space, I can quickly pull the items out and I have all of my space things together. So whatever you do, however you organize, I want it to be a plan that makes sense to you, because it's going to be different than the plan that makes sense to me. It's going to be different than the plan of curriculum that my district follows. It's going to be different than what you do. It's going to be different than what your curriculum map shows you. So I want you to combine things and organize them by whatever makes sense to you. Okay,